Well, let's start with consider the source, which is Tucker. No, I think that's fair.
Do you want to see the pictures?
I've seen it, but let's consider the source, which is starting with Tucker Carlson and Fox News. They're never going to portray our city in a favorable light. My understanding is those pictures are quite old, but the fact of the matter is we have taken and will continue to take the steps that are necessary to move people out of the airports.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that was Lori Lightfoot, as you can see, still being the, person that she is and saying everything about Tucker Carlson, what he said is a lie. Well, we're going to prove her wrong, because what we do is that on this channel is that we prove everybody wrong by giving them statistics or data or actual receipts that show that, maybe they might be showing in good light. Well, here's a Tucker Carlson video here that kind of shows everything that's going on in Chicago. Take a look.
When illegal aliens took over the El Paso airport. That seemed like a bad sign, but it could get worse. It always can. Now the homeless, the so-called homeless, have moved into Chicago International Airport O'Hare. Vagrants living in the terminals, sleeping by the baggage claims in one of the biggest and most famous airports in the world. As one custodian at O'Hare put it, it's out of control. None of us feel safe. And you can say that for the city itself. Raymond Lopez is an alderman in Chicago. He has been a very rare voice in that city calling for sanity. He's joining us tonight from O'Hare Airport. Alderman Lopez, thank you so much for coming on. What do you see there?
Tucker. Good evening, Tucker. As we walk through the airport, the fourth largest airport in the United States, we've seen this beautiful gateway to Chicago been overrun by the homeless, where every night 200 to 300 homeless individuals come off public transportation and set up encampments here in baggage claim and throughout all 5 terminals. All the while, the mayor's voice is blasting from overhead, welcoming any one of the 65,000 daily visitors here in this indoor outhouse that we call O'Hare Airport.
How could the mayor of Chicago allow one of its most famous landmarks and a transportation hub for the whole country to be desecrated by people urinating in it? I don't understand.
They're not just urinating in the hallways, they're taking baths in the toilets, they're making a mockery of what Chicago is here. And we understand that homelessness is a problem we must address, but making O'Hare Airport a homeless shelter for hundreds of people on a daily basis, when we're trying to welcome people here, when we're trying to encourage tourism, bring back the business clientele, bring back families to our city, and to only have them greeted by hundreds of homeless who have mental health issues, may be armed, maybe not even be clothed, that's not something that institutes a lot of confidence in our mayor, in our city, and clearly she doesn't care because she's 17 miles away from it.
Surrounded by city finance bodyguards, unlike you. There's an election coming up. She could win. How could that happen?
Right now, Tucker, we are 12 days away from the city's election, and as you know, we've been pushing hard to ensure that she does not have a path forward. But it's amazing in a city like Chicago that we have so many individuals who are hiding behind white guilt and privilege as an excuse to stick with the failed mayor. Rather than hold her accountable for what she's done and what she continues to do to this beautiful city, they're willing to stick by her just to assuage their personal guilt of privilege or wokeness, whatever they want to call it. And many of us continue to fight back. I know you had Dr. Wilson on your show as well, who's standing up against her. We have to fight back for this city because we can't allow what's happening here to become the mainstay for every neighborhood and for every iconic part of Chicago, which is overrun by the homeless, overrun by gangs, overrun by criminality, and what should be a welcoming city to all the good law-abiding people who want to make this home.
So yeah, the homeless encampment in Chicago is not great. But what I'm going to do now, before I get directly into this old meet and gather and stuff like that for kind of proving Lightfoot wrong, I kind of want to show you the full picture and the full thing that Lightfoot says about how those pictures are wrong or videos are wrong and they're completely from a long time ago, when in reality that really isn't the case. They're pretty present, but take a look at this, the full picture of what Lori Lightfoot says, because it's kind of shows the type of lies they like to push and to try to keep their their seat in power.
Mail featured The homelessness, the encampments that are growing at O'Hare Airport and all the baggage claims, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, anywhere from 200 to 300 people a night are sleeping there, even when the weather is not inclement. Pictures like this, people don't know if they're stepping over bodies or people sleeping on the floors. What are you doing about it?
Well, let's start with consider the source, which is Tucker. No, I think that's fair.
Do you want to see the pictures?
I've seen it, but let's consider the source, which is starting with Tucker Carlson and Fox News. They're never going to portray our city in a favorable light. My understanding is those pictures are quite old, but the fact of the matter is we have taken and will continue to take the steps that are necessary to move people out of the airports. The airports are a very different place than on the street under an underpass. It's a secure location, and the message is clear from me to the Department of Aviation, the police department up there. We absolutely fundamentally cannot have people sleeping in our airports who are homeless. That is unacceptable. And so we're going to continue within the bounds of the law to do what is necessary to provide those folks with support, but elsewhere. They can't be in our airports.
Yeah, so therefore what we're seeing here is that Lori Lightfoot is kind of disregarding what's going on, what's essentially happening in our city, and saying it's all falsehoods. Well, now here we go into the nitty-gritty here. Now we get to do our actual reporting as we should, to where it's not really a lie. This shows exactly what she's been doing, the things that she's done. And by the way, we even seeing on the Carson's video there where she is legitimately dancing to where, well, it's recent. Now, I don't think you guys have to know that this is where the Lightfoot backlash over a dancing video made Chicago crime wave. Newsweek reported this on January 30th. While we have other tweets that are posting it on January 29th and 7:31 a.m., and then there was another one again on January 30th as well. So we have her actually doing this stuff, dancing, and it's not okay. And then you even have in the Tucker Carlson video where it shows January 23rd. So it's even earlier that this has happened. So this is not really something that's like, recent. And no, guys, I'm not saying January 23rd of 2022 or 2021 or whatever. This is January 23rd of 2023. If not 2020, and then at the worst case scenario, which will makes it, honestly, the later it goes, the worse it is for her. So she better hope it's January 23rd, because in January, at least the 30th, that's what's shown by Newsweek, she's doing this on January 30th. So that being said, it's very 2023. So it's worse than it's really than you think. So either she did this on January 30th, or she did it on January 23rd of 2023. Doesn't matter really what day, it's still bad. There's only technically like a 7-day to 6-day difference. So it's not like that big of a difference. It's just a week. So we have that going on here. And we also have, with the Chicago Contrarian, where she's dancing, and it says it's January 29th. In 2023, so there's that. So there's multiple reports of her actually doing this type of stuff. So it's not really surprising. But now we'll show you the actual clip of what's going on in Chicago, how she's trying to say that those reports are wrong, yet one of the airlines in Chicago is specifically saying that this happened in February 16th of very recent. So I don't know where she's getting to where it's pretty recent.
Airport's official Twitter handle has posted several messages about the homeless, including this one that says, quote, O'Hare International Airport continues to make significant investments in the homelessness services at the nation's second busiest airport to ensure round-the-clock outreach and mental health services are available to the airport's unsheltered population. Now, this morning we did see Chicago police officers ask a couple of people to move along, but about an hour later they were just back in the same seats that they were in. And this is a really tough issue for a lot of people out here, especially those that work here at O'Hare. That janitor that I spoke to off camera said he doesn't want to throw people out into the cold, but also says that there are a number of problems that need to be addressed. out here at O'Hare. We're live at O'Hare. I'm Eric Rung, WGN News.
So what we're seeing here is that Lori Lightfoot is lying, because as I shown you that it was on February 16th, 2023 that the airport pretty much told them what was going on and how much of this is an issue. So if it's really that big of a even if the video was X period long time ago or what have you, it still seems to be remain a huge problem in February 16th of 2023. So I don't think it's been addressed, Lori. I think it's been abandoned entirely. So I don't know where you want to really go with this, because quite honestly, it's a disgrace. Now, some people want to talk about, how all this stuff and what have you is a big issue with maybe the housing or whatever. Okay, let me go down to tell you exactly what's going on. The housing is more due to zoning and kind of like an issue where I think a lot of cities are facing. Some have their different issues, of course, but Houston has this problem. In fact, that we see here that Houston had all these issues that are pretty much saying, thanks in part to a lack of zoning, Houston builds housing at nearly 3 times the per capita rate of cities. Like New York City and San Jose, it isn't all just sprawl either. In 2019, Houston built roughly the same number of apartments as Los Angeles, despite the latter being nearly twice as large. This ongoing supernova of housing construction has helped to keep Houston one of the most affordable big cities in the U.S., offering new arrivals modest rent and accessible home prices even amid seemingly endless demand. So since that's been going on, we have this as well that is just all this cancer and what have you. We have the zoning to where was zoning in, I may believe, in Chicago. So we'll read this. Every business license, location expansion, and change of location application needs to be reviewed and approved by the zoning division before a business license application can be processed. The city of Chicago is divided into distinct zoning districts that reflect business and neighborhood uses. Each zoning district has different regulations about the types of business activities that are permitted. Proper classification of business activity in the business activities is allowed in a specific district, compliance with parking, landscape, and building requirements, verification of valid driveway permit. A zoning review will include, which is what I just read there. The Chicago Business Zoning Guide serves as a reference for business owners and entrepreneurs to provide clear, reliable, and consistent information on zoning usage. For more information on how to use the guide, watch the Business Zoning Guide webinar. So, to confirm the zoning status of the specific location, call the business call blah, 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 blah. Zoning reminders: do not enter any financial commitments, i.e. signing lease, unless you are certain that you are in a proper zoning district that allows proposed business activity, etc., etc. So this is causing a massive issue with just, housing and stuff like that. So I don't know where you guys want to call the housing problem, because I think the housing problem is caused by the government not just doing their job of creating enough houses or affordable houses. It's just businesses to where you get apartments, and that doesn't really help much. Because the apartments have to be set at a certain rate for people to be there or what have you, and it's just not good. So that being said, we have that. Another issue that we have here is that I didn't show you guys the full video in this context, all right? I didn't show you the full thing. So what I'm going to do here is show you the actual full story, the full thing of what that video goes on, and then we'll wrap this stuff up. Take a look.
Address the problem out here. One janitor that I spoke to here this morning says the problem is now out of control. Anyone who's been to O'Hare in recent months surely has come across homeless people sleeping on benches or walking the airport hallways. 200 to 300 people are using the airport as a shelter in what he called an indoor outhouse. The janitor shared these photos of piles of clothes in a bathroom here. He also shared photos we can't put on TV that show urine and feces in elevators and hallways. He also told me off camera he has been threatened by a homeless person who had a knife. Responded yesterday at an unrelated press conference.
The fact of the matter is, we have taken and will continue to take the steps that are necessary to move people out of the airports.
Lightfoot says she has given a clear message to police and the Department of Aviation.
We absolutely fundamentally cannot have people sleeping in our airports who are homeless. That is unacceptable. And so we're going to continue within the bounds of the law to do what is necessary to provide those folks with support, but elsewhere.
So yeah, Lori Lightfoot is not necessarily being the greatest person on the block here of really trying to, you know, be truthful. She's trying to lie to you guys and everybody's person in the city of Chicago to make herself seem better. And in all reality, she's not. Well, I think you guys got the drift of what Chicago is. It's I honestly say, a death state where you go to die instead of going to live. Since they decided to make the Purge Act, or Purge Law, so yeah, have fun living there. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share, as always. Take care.